Now this is a photo print of one of the designs of the cover of my book, The Broken Boyfriend. And why I'm showing you this is because how different this is from the design on the computer screen. Hello, namaskar, welcome, swagatam. You are with the Versatile Doctor. My name is Dr. Abhinav Atul, an author, a YouTuber, and a TLB member. Today we talk about physical covers, the paperbacks and the hardcovers that we see in bookstores and book fairs and that we hold in our hands. We discussed what the book cover contains, how is it designed and everything in previous episodes. Don't miss those episodes from here. The question for today is how is it printed? And this is where you, the author, have to take charge, take control of the creative process and the final decisions, even if the cover design was created by another artist. In the coming minutes, I'll guide you through several aspects of book cover finalization as it pertains to print books. For those authors who only wish to publish ebook versions or Kindle versions, this information may not be that relevant. In any case, in the current era of digital printing of a book cover is no different than printing of a photo or even a document in your home printer. After printing, the book cover is bound and glued to the rest of the book, which means a bundle of anything from 50 to 500, 700 pages. Now, there is an argument to be made for offset printing, in that a good quality offset printing is better for something like a book cover, and I would agree to some extent. The main drawback of offset printing is the scale. You don't go about offset printing for a few hundred book covers. Your minimum order quantity to make it economically viable begins in the thousands, and it is much slower. I mean, much slower. Where a digitally printed cover could be ready to be bound and shipped in a matter of hours, offset print needs several days to actually set up and more time to dry and be ready for binding. Now, digital printing thrives on a very limited range of paper quality. So any kind of textured paper will not be properly printed on by the digital print head. The offset plates can stamp their print on any kind of textured paper. All kinds of specialized treatment of a book cover like foil stamping, embossing, etc. work best in the offset prints, but digital printers are also catching up. UV printing, now that is some next level stuff. And most high-grade prints are now made with UV printing. What happens essentially, UV light cures the ink right after printing, so the paper is ready to flip through or manipulate or bind right off the printer. No waiting time needed, no drying needed, and it is very specific with precise controls on spot gloss effects or embossing or matte gloss combo. And anything you can imagine can be done with UV printing. These books are perfect examples of UV effects. See that the text and the leaves are glossy, but the overall background is matte. Such delicate designing is only possible with UV printing. In most cases, if you are self-publishing, you don't really have an option of selecting how you want your book printed. Most self-publishing platforms work with print-on-demand services, which are essentially digital print only. Moreover, the initial print run may be a few dozen to a few hundred copies only, so the scale is against you. So anyway, why I'm asking you to get your cover design printed on paper before approving the design like I did? But let me explain the principle in a very simple manner. You know how we perceive light and color, right? So light enters your eyes and we see it. The combination of the 7 colors of the rainbow, of the entire spectrum of visible light, incites the sensation of color in our brains. So if a green light and a red light shine together in your eyes, we perceive it as yellow. Now every screen, be it an LCD screen, an LED, OLED, AMOLED screen, or even the old cathode ray tube monitors, they produce light, emit light directly into the eyes so that we can see it. So if on a monitor a pixel is lit with blue light, we see that pixel as blue. So on your cover design, whatever colors are there, the individual pixels on the screen are emitting that color of light, so our eyes perceive that color. Now what we see in the physical media on a piece of paper printed with colored ink is fundamentally different. The pigment or the ink is actually absorbing all the light that is thrown on it and reflecting only the particular fraction of the spectrum which defines its color. So when I use this highlighter to draw on white paper, neither the white of the paper nor the yellow of this highlighter ink is emitting any light. These are actually reflecting the light falling upon them from the sun and from the room lights. The white paper reflects most of the light, so the eyes perceive it as white, and the yellow color reflects the yellow part of the light spectrum. That is why we see it as yellow. By virtue of this simple difference of emitting light or reflecting light, any graphic displayed on a screen will be much more vibrant and have more dynamic range than the same media printed on paper. How our eyes see that printed graphic depends on the external light, whether we are in the sun or indoors or in a bookstore with blue light or amber light. Of course, it also depends on the quality of paper, the surface texture of the paper, the glossy or matte finishing of the paper, and a lot of other factors. As a rule of thumb, the luminosity of the colors in your design and the contrast get subdued during printing. The same goes for sharpness. If you want to go more technical, most designs follow the RGB colors, red, green, blue, whereas most printers, inkjet printers and all, they work on the CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow and key for black color palette for printing. And this difference often leads to some loss of saturation and create a washed out look. So it is better if the design itself is created in CMYK color palette, or at least checked thoroughly after exporting the RGB media into CMYK before printing. Now same goes for the black color. Beware, unless you are very careful, the pure black will appear gray on paper. Here is a much more clear example. You see, this is the ARC, Advanced Reader Copy of my book, The Broken Boyfriend. Look at the cover, and at the same place under the same lighting is the final cover. So what did I do? I increased the luminosity of the cover design and saturation of certain colors, keeping the contrast at a level where the faces and the human features will not be overblown. And behold, now I am happy with the final cover. So if your budget allows it, insist on the publisher to send you a pre-publishing copy for a final round of editing and, more importantly, visualization. Another thing that you can control is whether your book cover is printed in a glossy finish or a matte one. People usually say that glossy finished book covers look cheaper in quality and matte ones are more, classy. But it is absolutely not that straightforward. It obviously depends on the cover design. Usually, and I am saying the word usually very loosely, lighter colors look better in gloss and darker colors look better in matte. But that is an extreme generalization. Have a look at this color. It is an overall light colored book, but it looks lovely in glossy. Whereas Ken Follett's Fall of Giants has gone the matte way with spot lamination and embossing. Example of darker colors, Fallen and City of Ashes, one matte and one glossy. Now you be the judge of what looks better. See, in this episode and the previous ones, I have shown you so many books as examples to make my points. That trust me, you will get more clearer picture once you go to a bookstore for your own research. When you have 100 books in front of you to sample, to see, to touch and feel. But the bottom line is you have to take control here. Don't trust your publisher blindly and never pay without clearly setting up the rules and boundaries. If your publisher says that you can't have a book cover in matte when you want to have a matte cover, then don't change your vision for the book, change the publisher instead. Or if your publisher says that they won't give you a pre-published print so that you can have a look at the final book beforehand and maybe tweak a few things to make it better, again, if you are not comfortable with the outcome, put your foot down. But even before the dummy copy, before the ARC, get your book cover printed on photographic paper, preferably both on glossy and matte finish, and have a look. Often that will give you a lot of ideas. Your publisher might give you mock-ups like this for you to approve their cover design. Don't trust the mock-ups. They will never give you an accurate feel of your book, of the colors in the real physical sense. You must make the approval based on a physical print. Moving on. On a bookshelf, what is the first thing you see? the book spine. So don't make your spine boring. See, there is not a lot you can do with the spine. You have a limited space where you have to print the book title and the author name, but there can be some things that might make your spine unique. And what better example of this is there than the Harry Potter series? And all book series box sets have variant covers which have artistic spines. Now after the spine comes your back, the back cover where you have your blurb and the author bio. Again, a physical print will help you in checking how the font actually looks in print and is the text legible. To end this conversation of book covers, let me say this. Your book cover is an expression of yourself. You are aware of the adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Nowhere is this more relevant than on the cover of your book. Make it great, spend time on it, pay attention, and just imagine. Your book cover serves many functions, and the first and most important one is to reel your reader in, to attract prospective readers to check out what is inside the cover. If you need professional help designing your book cover, worry not, we have got you covered at TLB The Digital City. I hope all this detailed conversation about the book covers has given you some insights and has proven useful for your future decisions on making your own book cover. This is the end of the conversation for book covers, but not the end of the talk of self-publishing. We have many more episodes to come on how to write, how to use Microsoft Word, how to edit, how to actually publish with step-by-step tutorials. So stay tuned with TLB The Digital City. Until the next episode, this is Dr. Abhinav Atul signing off from TLB The Digital City for today. Namaskar. And wait, here comes the announcement. Have you self-published your fiction novel in any genre in English in the last 5 years? Then send me a copy of your book. I'll use the books that you, my fellow indie authors, send me for market research and analysis of the ground reality of self-publishing in India. Check out the link in that video description to show interest.